All right, for May 2nd, 2020, this is the COVID crash 51, the last the last cough. I am your host, Rick Richards. This will be the last one, brought to you, of course, by Athletic Alliance, makers of the finest performance supplements in the world. Available online at athleticalliance.net. Use code RICK25 to get 25% off. Available, of course, at select Popeyes in British Columbia and GNCs across North America. This is it, guys. Let's start the final show. Yeah, this is it, guys. This is the final cough, COVID 51. Sad day, I guess. But you know what? It had to come sooner or later. And really, I think we've kind of turned the corner in a sense. I mean, I had originally started this as the COVID Chronicles to chronicle the 14 days of lockdown to flatten the curve. Remember way back in March when we were going to lock down for 14 days to flatten the curve just so the hospitals didn't get overwhelmed. Well, here we are now, and it's about 7 weeks later, I guess, 17, 30, 47, 40. Yeah, 7 weeks later. Exactly. Almost exactly 7 weeks later. And still kind of in it, right? So we went from the COVID Chronicles to the COVID Cast to the COVID Crash. And that's kind of what I see now as moving into the crash phase as the economy crashes. Life as we know it kind of crashes around us. But this is not going to be all black-pilled. It is not going to be all black-pilled. I am going to give you guys some white pills. And personally, I mean, I've many of you will know that I am an entrepreneur. I run businesses, and I've kind of been kicked in the nuts from this. I've kind of been smashed in the teeth. The COVID and the lockdown more than the COVID, actually. The lockdown has kind of brought me out back and beat the shit out of me and put me back inside. But you know what? I was pretty bummed out at first. I was really kind of edgy and anxious and stressed out about it for the first couple weeks. And then I was just kind of despondent. I wouldn't say depressed, but maybe a little, I don't know, melancholy about the whole situation. But you know what? Now I kind of like it. I got to be honest. I kind of like it. I like, I'm a lot more involved in my kids' schoolwork, for one thing. They don't like that, but I do. Now I know what they're learning, right? I like driving in quarantine, driving when it's safe by myself in a vehicle, right? For essential travel. Must be essential travel. I like that there's no traffic. You can zip right through the tunnel. I like that gas is now, 90 cents more or less. Sometimes as low as 75. I've gotten it as low as 75 a liter. Sometimes as high as $1, which I think it is today. But, there are some good things, right? There are some good things coming out of it. Social distancing isn't so bad, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to be dating right now. That seems like it could be a little bit tough, but all in all, it's okay. All in all, it's okay. So let's get on to our shout outs. The show, as I mentioned, is brought to you by Athletic Alliance, makers of the product I am drinking right now, Havoc 137. It is a awesome strawberry lemonade pre-workout. And if you want to buy any of this stuff, you can get it online at athleticalliance.net. Use code word RICK25 to get 25% off. So for Ivan, my faithful assistant, don't leave me hanging, Ivan. Let's kick off the show properly with shout-outs. We always start with the shout-outs because we appreciate you. We appreciate the audience. And believe me, YouTube has kind of been, this show sort of took off like a rocket. And then YouTube has slowly started saying, yeah, you thought the lockdown was going to push you out. Well, we're going to do the same thing. But I won't get into all the details of that. Suffice to say, we still have the most popular show in Canada. No, not Canada. Western Canada, right? No. Ivan says no. BC. It's got to be the most popular show in BC now, right? Oh, no? Okay, well, maybe Surrey. Is there another show in Surrey? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe South Surrey. Okay, so Ivan says we are the most popular show in South Surrey on YouTube. So we'll take it, right? Shout out to Jixer. Jixer, my boy, winner of the toilet paper back in, what was that, week 3, I think. Jackson, the Glitch Doctor, whose nice motion graphics I am using right now. Thank you, Glitch Doctor. Super fans, Dwayne, Charlene, and Cassidy. Kim, Tammy, Monica, of course. Tanya, special friend of the show, Lisa. Although I don't think Lisa is, I don't think she's tuning in quite as often as she did before. I think the bad news got to Lisa after a while, and she kind of wandered off, let's say. Gymnasium, producer Dave. Producer Dave jumps in on some of the broadcasts with me, especially when we have interviews. Long Duck Dong, Terry McLean, and Tammy, special shout out to Tammy Lucier, who is becoming a nurse this summer. Tammy was concerned about my health. I don't know why people are always concerned about my health, man. Look, come on. Does this look like a guy that's going to keel over any day? Trust me. I walk through the most dangerous parts of the city with this virus floating around me, and nothing, man, not a single problem. I chew down a steak every day. I throw back a shot of vodka whenever I feel like it. I scarf down bacon and eggs, and man, I just laugh at the world. I'm in great shape. But Tammy was concerned about me. And Tammy is finished nursing, I think in July or August, she said. And she has gracefully, I should say, offered to give me a full physical. So I'm looking forward to that. Tammy, a full physical it is. And oh, by the way, I checked my blood pressure, and yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry, I will be alive. I promise I will be alive for that physical, Tammy. As long as we can, do we have to social distance? I guess not if we're having a physical, right? I guess not, but that is a medical situation, so I'm sure we can make an exception, right? So big shout out to Tammy, viewer of the show, generously offering to give me a physical, and which I will pass. You'll see. And let's get on with things. Okay, so let's jump into our updates. Let's see where we are at with the virus, and I will share some of my thoughts on the situation at large. So globally, we are looking at 3,478,152 coronavirus cases, 244,461 deaths, 1,107,822. So you know what, guys, just looking at this, I'm going to say this is really kind of flattened out. And let me just stop for a second. My official, as this is the final show in this, my official position has been, okay, you know what? My official position, as soon as I heard about this, I said, look, man, you got to shut down all travel from China. And I have a great video on this you can watch. It's called The Tyranny of Experts, or The Supremacy of Experts. I can't remember what I called it. But anyways, it outlaid all the recommendations by experts, right? And how wrong they were. People always say, you got to listen to the experts. Well, I don't know, man. Sometimes you should listen to common sense. And when common sense tells you that there is a contagious virus coming out, emanating from a certain part of the world, close the door, close the border. Like if there's a bunch of sick people walking through my back door, the first thing I'm going to do is close the back door. And even if somebody says, no, you're racist, you can't do that, I'm going to say, get lost. I'll be the racist that lives, okay? And close the door. So that should have been done right away. That was my thought. Now, it wasn't, right? We all know that. My second thought was, okay, listen, if I believe what I'm being told, that this is a very serious, much more serious than the flu, in that it's contagious and more lethal. Okay, I'm willing to accept all of that. I was in the beginning, especially. And my thought then was, you know what? Let's have a very short, very sustained, very strict lockdown. Let's do this for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, if we absolutely have to flatten the curve. But I said right from the beginning, we need to have specifics on what we were expecting to see and when this would end. We can't have these vague, never-ending situations, right? Well, the curve is flat as far as I'm concerned, right? So those were my thoughts on the beginning. So I have never been one of these people that said this is nothing. I've always I think in these situations, look, man, all you need to know is that pandemics have probably killed more people than wars well, certainly over the last 1,000 years. I would say more people have died from pandemics than wars. And over the last century, I don't know, it would probably be fairly close. Yeah, it'd be fairly close, which illustrates just how dangerous pandemics are. Okay, they are as dangerous as a war, and in many ways harder to protect yourself from. Right, so always err on the side of caution with stuff like that, understandably, right? But like I say, I mean, I think we're past that point now, and we need some clarity. But anyways, let's enough of my digressions. Let's get on to our final review of the situation. So, moving down, looking at a country by country case, we will highlight the new deaths because I do believe that is the most important indicator of just how serious the problem is. The USA, 1,500 deaths last night. Yeah, I predicted that the US would top out at around 80,000. Yeah, I think that's probably going to happen. I think it'll probably go over a little over that. I mean, it seems like it still has enough momentum that it will probably get closer to 90 or 100,000 in all honesty, which would make it much more severe than the most severe flu in the recent history, right? UK 621, so it's still a serious situation there as well. Italy, Italy looks like they've had a little bit of a resurgence, which we can expect. We can expect there is going to be a resurgence at some point, right? You can't keep people, you're stuck between two situations. Number one, you keep people locked down forever and they never ever get sick, but their immune system completely disappears. And the economy crashes and the world essentially stops and we all starve to death, right? That's option one. But you won't get the virus. Option two is you adopt some sensible policies that allow immunity to start building up, allow people to protect themselves to some degree, and allow a sense of normalcy to return, right? That's really the only two options. So are people going to die? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And unfortunately, we have to accept that. Spain, 276 deaths. Ecuador, well, Ecuador's kind of come up out of nowhere. What are some of the other places we're watching? Russia. Yeah, Russia seems to have things under control. From what I understand, though, Moscow, the mega cities like Moscow and, of course, London and New York, those are the most severely affected by this. Although we haven't heard much about Beijing and Tokyo. So maybe the draconian measures that they've taken there have worked, or maybe they're just not giving out information. Now, Sweden, as we know, Sweden hasn't been completely like Wild West. They have taken a much more liberal position, a less dictatorial position, and basically they've put out recommendations, but no hard, fast orders. But there is some precautions in place there. They just haven't shut down businesses. But now Sweden, you could say, okay, well, the death rate does seem higher in Sweden, particularly, well, Denmark has maybe a third or half the population of Sweden. But Sweden, it does seem more deadly there. But what you have to remember is with Sweden, you're not going to see a second spike, right? This is being dealt with and absorbed essentially now, so there will be no second spike. Whereas other places, the more rigid and strict the lockdown is, the more severe a second spike will be when it inevitably comes, right? Not a lot of data. There's South Africa has, where's South Africa? Are they in here somewhere? South Africa. South Africa is an interesting case. From what I understand, South Africa took a real strict position on this right from the get-go. Yeah, I don't even know where they are here. Anyways, they took a real strict position right from the get-go, and they kind of got it under control quickly. So more power to them, and they're already opening up things. All right, Canada. What are we looking at in Canada? Well, overall in Canada, we are looking at 57,000 confirmed cases. 23,000 people have recovered, and we haven't heard much about who, if any of them, have gotten it again. Because I mean, that's one of the things that's circulating, right? One thing we're hearing is that you can't be immune to it; you can get it again. So that would lead to the question: what good is a vaccine if you can get this again? because if you can get it again, it means you're not building up the antibodies because it mutates to a degree, right? And so that would be the same thing with a vaccine, unless I'm wrong, unless somebody understands this better than me. But I mean, I think basically how a vaccine works is that you're effectively injected with a small dose of the virus in order to build up immunity to it. But if you can't build up immunity from actually having this, then it seems to me like a vaccine wouldn't work either. But anyways, British Columbia, 2,000 confirmed fake cases, 114 deaths in 3 months. You know, that's not super serious, man. I mean, I got to tell you, and I mean, of those 114 people, I am almost certain that some of them were going to die anyways or were close to death. I mean, these weren't healthy individuals that just dropped over. Most of them had underlying conditions. Most of them were extremely old in care homes and things like that, right? Alberta, only 94, like they've even less than us, right? And they closed Stampede. Like, fuck, man. Oh, they canceled Stampede, which I think was a huge mistake. Ontario, 1,100 people have died, close to 1,200, 1,176. Quebec, over 2,000. So Quebec, definitely the epicenter, and Montreal would be the epicenter of Quebec, of course. Extremely bad situation there. More than half the cases, close to 2/3 of the cases, fatalities. More than half of the cases are from Quebec, and close to 60%, I would say, more than 60% of the fatalities are from Quebec. So there you go. There is a quick roundup on the actual virus itself. But let's look at some of the reactions. Because as I've mentioned, right, and one of the reasons I'm ending the COVID crash. Oh, you know, I would drink this even if there was nothing in it. Even if this was just an empty drink without vitamins and stuff like that, I would drink it. It's so damn good. We're kind of pivoting, right? Like, I mean, we're moving away from the situation and the scenario that we've been in up until now, and we're pivoting to kind of a different situation. The world has effectively changed, right? It's changed now. So let's look at what's happening in the world. All right. So hundreds protest COVID-19 social restrictions in Alberta legislative grounds. This is one of the things. We started seeing this in the US, and now we are seeing this in Canada. I think there's some controversy over who's organizing this and whether it's, I don't know, large group. Like, I mean, in the US, there's a really strange situation. People are now protesting. Trump supporters are now protesting, calling people that want to lock them down Nazis, whereas Trump supporters were referred to as Nazis a couple of years ago when they were supporting Trump. So, I mean, is there anybody left in America that isn't a Nazi? Like, even Jews now are called Nazis in America. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there is even actually a single Nazi. And if it is, it's a deranged individual that likes to dress up and pretend they live in a different era.
Actually, a while ago, I think the last Nazis in the USA got removed from the USA.
Yeah, I'm sure. So it's just but it's strange. Like, I mean, you really can't keep track of who's organizing these things and who's behind them. But so anyways, we'll just deal with Canada here. And hundreds are protesting the COVID-19 social restrictions in Alberta as the province urges its physical distancing, social distancing, and has restricted gatherings of over 15 people in an effort to limit the spread of COVID-19. Hundreds of people gathered at the Alberta legislative grounds to show their displeasure for those rules. So people are protesting that in Alberta, and quickly thereafter, Alberta business execs outlined a 3-point plan to reopen the economy. So what do I take from this? Either one of two things is happening. Number one, the same people that organized the protests came up with this 3-point plan, right? Or an affiliated group. It's like, let's say you have a fire company, a private fire company, and you go and set someone's house on fire, and you say, "Hey, I have a hose and some water to put out this fire," right? So, I mean, it could be something like that, or it could be, you know, the government is saying, "Oh, I don't think we can keep these people in lockdown much longer. They're really getting fed up with it. we're not going to be able to maintain control of this much longer. Let's start rolling out a reopening plan. And that could be what happened. So Alberta business execs outlined a 3-point plan to reopen the economy. What is the plan? The plan includes the following 3 steps. 1, develop a thoughtful, safe, and ethical approach to a gradual and phase-in reopening. Oh, that's a word salad. Develop a thoughtful, safe, and ethical approach. Why would you say something so stupid?
Ethical.
Yeah, like, okay, so are you implying that normally we would have a thoughtless, dangerous, unethical approach? Like, I really hate when people put in this word salad of stupid, meaningless kind of phrases. Shut up and get to the facts, man. That safeguards health, but also begins to recover lost jobs and closed businesses. This is all PR speak here, so it's kind of useless. Number 2, phase 2, re-examine Alberta's short and long-term fiscal model in light of reduced revenues and increased need for government support. Okay, again, you know what? These guys are idiots here. I don't know what kind of businesses they're running, but I mean, I'd love to see you go into a business meeting and pitch this kind of word salad. How are you going to grow your business by 30% this year? Well, we're going to develop a plan to increase revenues through safe, ethical, and customer-focused practices. Oh, okay. You'd be out on your ass pretty quick. Trust me. I have to go into those meetings and I have to present to people how I'm going to do something. And you got to provide specifics. But anyways, Alberta is developing some sort of plan to begin. And we can also see that the new normal begins where each province and territory stands with reopening. So this is an interesting kind of thing. British Columbia, our province, there is no plan. There is no plan. Alberta has a plan. Saskatchewan is reopening now. They're in the midst of it. Manitoba is reopening it. No, I'm going too fast for you guys here. Basically here, all the green and colored places have a plan for reopening. The ones that don't are BC, Yukon, and Northwest Territories and Nunavut. Ironically, the places with the lowest infection. Like, I mean, Nunavut, you've had 0 cases and you don't have a plan to reopen. Maybe that's because they were never closed. I don't know. But anyways, we'll look at that. Well, I guess we won't look at that. This is the last show. But now here's something. Quebec, which we've just established is the epicenter in Canada for the virus and the fatalities associated with the virus, have a very aggressive plan to reopen the economy next week. And they're all on board with it. They're all on board with it. So I don't know. I don't even know what to make of this. I mean, you would think that the one place that should be pumping the brakes on this would be Quebec, but I don't know. Thousands of Bombardier employees return to work at a private jet assembly plant over the next few weeks, but they will be standing 6 feet apart and washing their hands frequently. Well, do you know if they're going to be washing their hands frequently? Are you going to be watching them? So Quebec has a plan. They're opening schools in about 3 weeks. I know a lot of you parents out there will be happy about that. And this is a good point here. I'm not sure who said it, but the National Bank chief economist Stéphane Marion said in an interview, every month you extend the shutdown, you lose a full year of potential growth. Absolutely. I would 100% agree that is probably where it equates to. You know, so if you're down 6 months, then your business is essentially down a decade, right? And you may never come back. And the longer you shut down, the more permanent destruction of capacity. Another thing I said right from the beginning, right? Right from the beginning. And just so you know, and I'm on record, you can check the early videos on this. I am on record having said that, look, we should have a plan where we don't quarantine the healthy people. Let's not do that. Let's quarantine the most vulnerable people. They should have the quarantine. People that have come in contact with compromised individuals or people with compromised health systems, they should be quarantined. The rest of us can practice social distancing, wear masks if we feel comfortable, and something else if we're in contact with a lot of people, like plexiglass that's gone up at retailers. That would do it. That would be enough. I can assure you that. And I'm not an expert, but that's to my advantage that I'm not an expert. I mean, we've seen what the experts have come up with. So all these plans, BC will announce plans to reopen next week, said Horgan. A little late there, Horgan. Now I've been very generous to this guy. Like, you know what, I have to say, I'm not an NDP guy. I've never been an NDP guy, but I do kind of like him. He hasn't been egotistical. He hasn't been stumping out on the trail, talking about speaking moistly and calling people assholes for getting out there. He's kept a low key profile, and he's let his specialists go out in front. So for that, I give him full marks. But I think he's a little slow on this. We'll see. We'll see. I'll reserve any kind of harsh judgment on Horgan until after he unrolls the plan. So you know what? To finish off, let's just take a look at some of the stuff that is happening in the world today, because you know what? Life goes on, doesn't it? Life still goes on. Here we are. So now, I don't know how many people know who Alex Jones is. I think I've heard of him before, but yeah, I've heard of him. I know that, but I've never really watched him or observed him. But all I got to say is, holy shit, this guy is unhinged. Listen to this.
I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors.
What?
You think I like sizing up my neighbor?
What? Alex Jones is starting to think about eating his neighbors. Holy shit, I'm glad I don't live next to this guy, man. And then he says it like he's being forced to do it. You think I want to think about eating my neighbors? I don't want to damn do it, but you're making me do it. Whoa, man, this guy is crazy to the third power.
I'm going to haul him up by a chain and chop his ass up. I'll do it. But I'm literally looking at my neighbors now and going, I'm ready to hang them up and gut them and skin them and chop them up. You know what? I'm ready. My daughters aren't starving to death. I'll eat my neighbors.
Wow. Okay, let's watch the rest.
Into the equation. I will cook your ass up so fast, and I'll tell them, "Oh, I killed a cow out back, baby. Here it is, because my babies ain't gonna die for your crap, your failure. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I'll barbecue.
Oh, now he's gonna barbecue your ass.
Your ass flat. I will eat you.
Hey, I wonder if Alex's neighbors have seen this. Like, can somebody out there please show the neighbors this? I mean, that would be cause for alarm. So, I mean, that's one thing that's going on. Here's another thing. The state police are protecting Governor Whitmore. This is in Michigan. See, now Michigan, the governor has really overstepped her boundaries there. She's gotten really dictatorial, and she said, nope, nobody's going anywhere. We're locking down. You're under martial law, and it's backfiring on her now. So multiple armed gunmen stormed Michigan's State House. State police are protecting Governor Whitmore and blocking the gunmen from gaining access to the house. And it's funny, something like this, which has gotten 13.5 million views on Twitter, not in the press, not in the media. It's really been buried. And I think that's a sign that they're extremely concerned about how serious these things can get. So anyways, you get the point of what's happening there. Yeah. So, I mean, we're seeing some pretty serious things down there, right? And, you know, it made me reflect on the channel itself and some of the shows. So I'll give you a bit of an update. In the past 7 weeks that we've done this, we've got 150,000 total views. The most popular, we have a YouTube channel, right? And we also have a Facebook channel. And the YouTube channel has been kind of crushed. It was moving up like a rocket, and then YouTube has kind of just said, we're going to crush you. But anyways, here are the 5 most popular shows from the COVID crash. COVID 28, Countdown to Martial Law. That one's up around 5,000 views. Came out April 3rd. COVID 37, Revolution or Civil War. That came out on April 11th. COVID clip from COVID 25 is China lying? And that was way back in March, where I, your intrepid host with the most, I uncovered that there was a virology lab in Wuhan that was working on bat viruses. Call it a coincidence, man. Call it a coincidence, right? But I found that first. And COVID 32 was the fourth most popular, or no, sorry, COVID 21, civil unrest is coming. That was on March 29th. And COVID 32, media hysteria and hype, was the fifth most popular show on the Rick Richards channel for the COVID series. On Facebook, the most popular one, I believe, was also Countdown to Martial Law. That was about 44,000 views, way more on Facebook. I don't know why. Although these ones I tend to get, anytime I do something on martial law or civil war, I really get the hate from people. I get people calling me an idiot. This guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, you know.
And I work at Denny's.
Yeah, some guy working at Denny's was telling me that I'm an idiot. Idiot. I'm in Mensa, you know, Mensa. You don't get into Mensa by being an idiot. And anyways, all I do is I break down these things and I strategically analyze them, right? But I will share some more with you here. Hold on here. Are we going to go to that? Or are we going to go to that? What are we on here? What are we on? Oh, Canadians expect things. This just came out. Canadians expect things to get ugly. Think more pandemic aid needed. And when they say ugly, I guess they're referring to pink and rainbow colored umbrellas with masks. Doesn't get uglier than that, right? So a majority of Canadians surveyed say more funding is needed for people and businesses hurt by the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a new poll. Now, I don't know, man. I mean, the funding, you can't fund, there's no way the government can dole out enough money to make up what businesses have lost, right? Like, I mean, if a business is losing $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a month, you know, they can't make that up. There's no way they can do it, okay? And even if they could, you know what? It's someone's going to have to pay for it somewhere down the line, right? Someone is going to have to pay for it somewhere down the line. And, you know, the bill is going to come due at some point, right? But people want more. I mean, I think the CFL, like if you're going to do something for the CFL, right? You know, the CFL is a business, you know, and they're suspending their operation. They've never had to do that maybe they did it during World War II. I don't know. But in at least 100 years, they have never had to suspend an entire season. They're going to do this. They're going to do this in the interest of safety. And I know people get, they get worked up over athletes getting any kind of reimbursement. But hey, those athletes, they work their ass off to get to those positions, and they have a very short window of opportunity. So the average career in the CFL is probably like 3 or 4 years. So you take out 1 year and you've removed 25% of somebody's career. That's a big deal. So if you're okay with Air Canada getting bailed out, CIBC, the banks getting bailed out, Bombardier getting bailed out, you should damn well be okay with the CFL getting bailed out, because they're doing a free market service essentially, right? They're running entertainment, and it's a big part of the country. So stuff like that, I really think should be allowed to continue, or encouraged to continue. So finally, I'm going to leave off on some amazing event that happened today. And you may recall, I covered this a couple days ago. I told you this was going to be one of the biggest sporting events of 2020. And it is. It's already shaping up to be a huge sporting event. So those of you who have watched Game of Thrones will be familiar with the Mountain, the big scary dude. Hathor Bjornsson, his name is. He is 6'9" and 450 pounds. That's a big dude. Anyways, he attempted today to deadlift 501 kilos, which is 1,102 pounds. 1,102 pounds.
And he didn't pass out.
That's a lot. So let's take a look. This guy's such a savage that he doesn't even wear shoes. He's like, ah, fuck it. I don't need goddamn shoes. Give it up, Ivan.
He didn't pass out.
Bravo. No, he didn't pass out. He stood up nice and straight.
Look at his grip too.
Look at his grip. Look at that bar. Like that is a reinforced cold rolled steel bar and it is just bending. It's just ready to snap, right? Wow. Now, he's Icelandic, of course. Island with 300,000 people. And they produce the strongest people in the world. Can you imagine that guy coming off a boat, coming off a Viking ship with an axe in his hand? You'd be like, oh no, man, take it, whatever you want. It's yours. Gold, I don't care. So that is what's happening in the world. That is what's happening in the world as we end the COVID cast. So who knows? You know, we'll do some more stuff on the channel. Definitely no more COVID daily updates. I think we've all had enough of that, right? But remember, I'm with you, okay? And so is Ivan. Ivan, give it up. Let's see that fist in there. There we go. Our assistant Ivan says goodbye, farewell, so long. And I'm saying it too. And remember, guys, it's not over yet. The fun is just beginning. It'll be different. It won't be daily updates on the COVID, but there's going to be new stuff, okay? I promise you that. But remember, if we all stick together, can't nobody stand against us. So, for Ivan and everybody else, which means just me.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have two meanings. In a tree by the brook, there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven. It makes me wonder for those who stand looking. Ooh, it makes me wonder. Ooh, really makes me wonder. And it's whispered that soon, if we all call the tune, then the piper will lead us to reason, and a new day will dawn for those who stand long. And